really felt. I mean, God, I think you must have worn that 20 years ago. Do you want me to change? No, it's fine. I mean, I got another shirt I can put on. No, it's perfectly fine. It's just I'm overdressed.
Those home videos helped us so much in giving the world eyes into who Chandra Levy was, who this family was, the thoughts, the conversation, the personality, the sense of humor, and she loved her family. And it really put a face and a personality to this victim.
Susan and Robert Levy have returned to their Modesto, California home. Left behind, the still unanswered questions about their daughter, Chandra Levy, who disappeared more than 7 weeks ago.
Police had 3 theories early on. Number 1, something that's not uncommon, that she ran away. Number 2, something that would be far less common, that she committed suicide, and far less common because why would they not be able to find her? Number 3, the most worrisome, that she was a victim of foul play.
It's so hard to imagine that. It's so hard to imagine your beautiful young daughter going away to Washington, D.C., very excited about this internship, ready to come home, and just poof.
Everybody loved Chandra Levy. She was very free-spirited, very focused, independent, bright.
She was interested in applying to the FBI, and then sort of secondarily maybe applying to law school, but maybe going to public administration.
So she lined up an internship with the Federal Bureau of Prisons as part of her graduate program. And so that was the ticket to D.C.
In October of 2000, Chandra Levy went to Condit's office with a friend from Modesto, and he's their congressman, so they go to meet him.
He's charming, he's friendly, and he offers to give the 2 young women a tour of the Capitol.
Picture shows the congressman with his arms around both of the young women.
That seems to be the first meeting he has with Chandra Levy.
Several days after that visit to Capitol Hill, Chandra Levy called Gary Condit. The alleged affair with Congressman Condit began a few weeks later.
Our antenna go up anytime that we hear of a politician, an older politician, with an intern in any way connected with an intern.
You know, I mean, come on. This was not long after the whole Monica Lewinsky business.
This was a very hard case for police. It was a missing person. I mean, this is an adult that can come and go as she pleased. There was nothing initially that would indicate that there was any kind of foul play.
Covering cases like this, I was just flabbergasted at the twists and turns. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
An officer was sent to Chandra Levy's apartment on May 6th. Officers went there on May 7th and on May 8th, 3 times, 3 days in a row. And on each occasion, they failed to ask about surveillance tapes.
They neglected to ask for the videotape that would have shown her leaving the apartment, that would have revealed what she was wearing, whether she was with anybody, what her mood was. They never asked for it. Well, it's recorded over every 7 days. By the time they decided to ask for it, it was gone.
Is that a missed opportunity? Yes.
Another significant mistake by the police was when they went into her apartment, she had left her laptop there. An investigator turned it on and started to kind of mess with it. He was not a trained computer specialist. In the process of checking that computer and messing around with it, he corrupted some of the files.
When a computer gets corrupted, you can't get at the information right away, and there's a delay, and that just further complicates the case.
As a result, the search that she did for the Klingel Mansion, which was a site in Rock Creek Park, it was delayed by maybe a month till finally trained IT people were able to look at the search and determine possibly she went to visit that site.
We find out that at about 10:27, she's bouncing around the internet. She's visiting the Drudge Report, Amtrak, National Geographic, Southwest Airlines, just bouncing around, seemingly web surfing.
At one point, she sends her mother an email listing a bunch of fares on Southwest Airlines. And then she enters a search for Rock Creek Park and the Klingel Mansion.
Once we got that information, we did begin a search of Rock Creek Park.
Why the Klingel Mansion area?
Well, it could be because of jogging. There are nice paths here. We've seen joggers here all morning and into the afternoon. Although we also heard that possibly she had a friend or acquaintance that she wanted to visit who lives in a small neighborhood near here.
She stops her internet searches, and that is the last indication of Chandra Levy, 12:24 p.m.
Police in Washington knew they had a volatile, potentially explosive investigation on their hands.
Well, it's nice to see food.
Yeah, for a change. You get to sleep in your own bed.
Well, I mean, my bed's comfortable.
Yeah.
The parents of Chandra Levy are due back here in Washington later today to keep pressing police and their congressman for information about their missing daughter.
My name is Billy Martin. The Levys have retained our law firm to assist them in obtaining both information and, if necessary, to conduct an independent investigation into the whereabouts or the facts surrounding Chandra's disappearance.
I witnessed a mother and a father in deep depression. I witnessed the family without any answers to questions of what happened to their loved one, and the emotional level was very high.
This is an investigation now that has taken a large segment of the police force to the abandoned buildings of Northwest Washington. It is not, they say, that they've concluded that Chandra Levy, in fact, has met foul play. They just want to exhaust all possibilities.
The police are just looking everywhere for Chandra. They're looking at warehouses and airports. A woman doesn't just disappear off the face of the earth, but that's what it appeared to have happened.
Here in Washington, authorities plan to question Congressman Gary Condit of California over the disappearance of Chandra Levy.
It was early in the investigation when it became known that she had an association with Mr. Condit, and certainly that was something that we wanted to follow up on, to find out whether or not he had heard from her, if he knew anything.
The police file indicates that when law enforcement authorities in Washington got in touch with Gary Condit,
he starts this pattern of being evasive and vague. He says that he didn't know her well.
What we're seeing is Gary Condit vigorously denying that he had anything but a platonic relationship with her.
The detective directly asked Gary Condit, "Did you have an intimate relationship with Miss Levy?" He said, quote, "I don't think we need to go there. You can infer what you want from that."
What would you say to Mr. Condit?
Come out with the truth, that's all. I want the truth. I want my daughter home.
Do you know anything about where Chandra Levy is? You can only get away so long with trying to deny something that is becoming more and more obvious.
There was no way you could see him as a sympathetic figure. It certainly made him look suspicious. It made him look questionable.
Lie to the police! Where is Chandra Levy? Where is Chandra Levy?
The more you withhold, willingly withhold, then it takes an investigator down a path. Why are you withholding information? I mean, what is it that you're trying to hide?
New reports are surfacing tonight about the relationship between a missing Washington intern and her U.S. congressman from California.
Chandra confided in her aunt, Linda Zamsky, that they were having an affair and that it had to be top secret.
We had conversations starting at Thanksgiving where she told me she was dating an older married man, and he was somebody powerful in Washington, in the government.
Chandra Levy told her aunt that when she would visit Gary Condit, he had told her that she had to wear a ball cap out in public so no one would be recognized.
Did she ever describe her feelings about Congressman Condit's marriage?
No. Only that she knew that his wife was sickly and that it was a marriage of convenience for him.
Chandra told her that Gary Condit was her man and that she was in love with her man.
Did she describe her hopes for the relationship?
keep it low key, and then move past that in 5 years. For some reason, he had something going on in politics, and then hopefully have a relationship that they could come out and be together in public, get married, have a family.
How did you make to the whole Linda Zamsky story?
It was unbelievable.
Because?
Well, I mean, the accusations of some of the things that were said were just unbelievable. I'd never heard any of that. I mean, what she said was new to me.
There was never any suggestion or whiff of scandal or anything else in connection with him. On the adultery angle of this case, I generally don't even want to know from the client. I think they still have a right of privacy and dignity.
There's a lot of unanswered questions. Here's a woman who called her aunt and said, "I have big news," just a couple of days before she vanished. The aunt never called her back, but what was the big news? Some people wonder, could she have been pregnant?
Was Chandra pregnant at any time during their relationship?
That seems to be a question that's asked quite frequently. And what I have indicated to both the FBI and to the DC police, that I would not at all comment on that issue.
But you never knew whether she was pregnant or not. She could have been?
Don't know.
Where is Chandra? Where is Chandra?
Gary Condit had absolutely nothing to do with Chandra's disappearance. This was the kind of irrational feeding frenzy that had subsumed the public and the media by definition, had colored this to the point where you could not talk in a rational way about this case.
Reports are coming out of the woodwork, incredibly exaggerated, almost fantasized reports. There were reports that she was buried in a parking lot somewhere.
The development is that DC police have told CNN that they are in fact going to follow up on a tip that Chandra Levy was buried under a parking lot under construction by Fort Lee. There are cadaver dogs down there. They're organizing a search.
Police have to take all these things seriously, and it takes up their time, takes up their resources. Very, very frustrating.
The investigation into the disappearance of Washington intern Chandra Levy has led to new questions surrounding Congressman Gary Condit and his relationship with an airline flight attendant.
I remember when Anne Marie Smith, the flight attendant, came forward. I remember when she was on Larry King Live and she talked about an alleged relationship with Gary Condit.
We became friends, started seeing each other, started calling, spent a lot of time together.
Did you feel like you were harming his wife?
I did. I was very concerned about that.
But
Mr. Condit told me she was very ill and that they didn't really have a husband-wife relationship.
It's all tabloid stuff. I mean, that's
she had all this apparent evidence. I mean,
well, yeah, she says she has evidence. You know, it's just all tabloid stuff.
Right. What is
some
the
of the
story
people
from your viewpoint?
It's tabloid. It's she has nothing to do with Chandra Levy. No, I know who she is, but it has nothing to do with Chandra Levy.
Days after Anne Marie Smith told her story, Gary Condit was interviewed by the police for the third time. And he finally admitted his relationship with Chandra Levy.
During an hour-and-a-half interview between Condit and police officials, Condit acknowledged under direct question that, in fact, it was a romantic relationship.
Why did it take him so long?
I didn't have any particular impressions of Gary Condit other than he was an individual that had something to hide, which obviously having an affair, if you're married, is not something that most men would want to be forthcoming about. But whether it was more than that remained to be seen.
Washington police are bringing in 50 police recruits to help comb areas around the apartment of Chandra Levy. They're focusing on 2,800 acres in Rock Creek Park.
Rock Creek Park is a huge, huge park. You had a lot of overgrowth. You had a lot of things there that weperhaps evidence could be hidden underneath. And so you have to carefully grid it out in order to know that you've done a complete search. It took weeks for us to have gone through the park.
Was she murdered? Was she kidnapped? Was she hiding out somewhere? Had she committed suicide? We had zero answers.
There was a fellow who was walking his dog, and his dog had gone up a hill and come back with a bone.